Was WWE Evolution 2025 the best wrestling show of this mad weekend? Well, I'm not going to answer a question like that because comparison is the thief of joy. And also, if you watch All In, you shouldn't expect the same results from when you watch Evolution. And if you watch the Great American Bash, you shouldn't expect the same results from there either. We should just enjoy all professional wrestling. Although I will say there was way too many shows this weekend. I'm happy to say that. I'd much rather if some of these amazing moments had their own weekend to breathe and shine so we could talk about them, but we all know what's going on here. So let's talk about WWE Evolution. And well, it's the main event, really, isn't it? Oh, and the Intercontinental title match as well. I thought that was brilliant. But Ria Ripley versus Eio Sky. Keep saying this, going to keep saying it. Please subscribe to me and What Culture Wrestling to get all my opinions. But it could main event any show, anywhere, right now, and nobody would say anything. Nothing on the card would, well, I say nothing on the card would come close to it, but at the very least, they'd all be on par with each other. It was brilliant. It was hard-hitting. It was creative. And when we did the ref bump, it wasn't because we were getting people running down or wrestling nonsense. It was because then they could go and brawl, and then they could add some extra style, I suppose, to their match where they got back in the ring. Eio Sky. Well, I don't want to say that about either of them, because Eio Sky did go nuts during this, but Ria Ripley was also going nuts, hence why it got to the level it did do. And some people have said they didn't like NAOMI cashing in. Well, there's only a few people, but they wanted to get a proper finish here, just because then you have this self-contained match, which I do understand. But moments, silliness, shenanigans, when it is like that, I just thought it added to the whole experience, and it became a talking point, which is probably one of the reasons that WWE did it. But it's not like Naomi hadn't deserved to be the champion, or at least been given a go as a champion for around about 5 to 6 years. I mean, everything she did in TNA a couple of years ago was awesome. And Ria Ripley doesn't feel like a loser. Eio Sky doesn't feel like a loser. In fact, what it kind of feels like we have done is not reset the division a little bit, but we've set up feuds between these three. We can probably do maybe a triple threat at SummerSlam. And I guess Naomi jumping over to Raw does kind of freshen it up a little bit. It's just excellent. If you are a professional wrestling fan, it must have been, what, 25 minutes? I don't know. I don't time matches because I'm not weird. But no, I'm kidding. If you want to time a match, it's perfectly fine. But however long it was, it feels half that time because it just flies through. And it's just so interesting and so intriguing, especially because it has jeopardy to it. Eio Sky could have retained. A lot of people would have got that. Ria Ripley could have won, and, well, most people would have got that apart from the idiot crazies on the internet. But just fantastic, awesome, great, superb, spectacular, and a bunch of other words I can't even think of right now. 5 stars, 6.25 stars in the Tokyo Dome, a golden up. What else do we have? That is probably it. A massive yes. All the positive words thrown in. It's just awesome. And it's actually one of those matches you don't have to talk about that much. Maybe the crazy crossbody that Eio Sky did off that box-like structure, which is the one time that Michael Cole was right, because, like, it was boxes, but they had been arranged in a very strange structural type of a way. But the amount of craziness, just the amount of hard-hitting wrestling, and at one point they were just punching each other in the face. And that Spanish Fly too. And Naomi's character and the way she cashed in, it was a joy. And I watched professional wrestling to be entertained, and I was entertained up the wim-wham. Whatever that means. It sounds somewhat disgusting, which I do not mean. And let's hope that we capitalize on this, because, well, I would say they're few and far between, but Eio Sky and Bianca Belair and Ria Ripley essentially did that in the opening at WrestleMania 2. So at least 2 of them are ticking all of the boxes. And Bianca Belair would be as well, but of course she's injured. And I like the fact that she was putting Jade Cargill versus Naomi in the no-holds-barred match. It made no sense, as we talked about the other day, because a no-holds-barred match is so that you are allowed to be out of control, and then Nick Aldis like, yeah, we need to control you. Well, then put them in a regular match, man. That's the best way to control someone, is to put them in a match and go, oh, there's rules, and you're going to get disqualified, and then Bianca Belair's going to be watching over you. But if you are going to do only the second all-women's pay-per-view ever, Bianca Belair needs to be included on it, because she's been awesome over the last 5 years or so, and that was so enjoyable as well. Jade Cargill and Naomi, I would presume that's the blow-off match for now, only because it looks like they are going off in their own directions, but they should come around and do it again. Like, they are so much fun together. Hilarious. The point, maybe it wasn't intended this way, but the point when Naomi had a trash can over her head and Jade Cargill was just smashing her with it, then it sort of fell off, so Naomi kind of put it back on her own head. All of it is just so much fun, and it's so much enjoyable. And the jaded through the table looked horrible. Like, as a man who wrestles, I can tell you that going through a table isn't fun, but sometimes it can actually be a quote-unquote nicer bump because it breaks your fall. Not front first. Nobody wants to go through anything front first, so yeah, that looked good too. And now we do move on to Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton, which is going to be very interesting, but it's really good wrestling booking without wanting to become across like too like a nerd. Because Jade Cargill has essentially had Naomi's number by WrestleMania and now, but Naomi walks around with the championship, so everything's okay. And that's why long-term booking is important, you see, because you can have somebody in the mud, because if all of a sudden they're going to win the big one, it doesn't always work that way, but it's far better to know what the ending of the book is so we can understand what we do in the middle chapters. But that was just fun too. And again, Becky Lynch versus Bayley versus Lara Valkyria. I mean, awesome, and another creative finish here too. Because so many times in a triple threat match, especially in WWE, somebody hits their finisher, the other guy runs in, they throw them out the ring, and they take advantage of the fact that you've hit your own finisher, so the HP has been depleted. Whereas here, Betty did get the rose plant on Lyra, but because she was focusing on pinning her, Becky comes in, does the coolest, most devastating move in all of sports entertainment surprise roll we've ever seen, and gets the 1, 2, 3, and Bayley had the shocked face, and there's too many shock faces in wrestling, especially when people kick out of finishing moves. We actually need to dial that down a bit because not everybody would react the same way. But it worked here because it was like a proper flash pin. I just thought it was so well executed. Surprise, surprise, Becky Lynch, one of the best ever. But it just has done so much for this Intercontinental Championship, which like at the start of the year meant nothing, by the way. Couldn't even get on television, which was so dumb. But Bayley's benefited from it. Becky Lynch has benefited from it. They've all gone all in, wrong use of words there, to ensure that Lyra Valkyria has absolutely come across. I mean, she could probably take a step up into the world title scene at some point if we keep going in this direction. And it's just a really well-worked wrestling match that, again, you could put on any show. And that's the other conversation. Should we do Evolution every year? And I think we probably should, just because I think on a more wider level, WWE is never actually going to get the balance right between the men and the women, and therefore they should have their own show. But in a perfect world, you take all this goodness and you get it into a SummerSlam, a WrestleMania, a Survivor Series, a Money in the Bank, whatever the flub it would be. And we do have moments like that. I'm not trying to pretend that we don't, but this just proves there's way more that we can do. And it's still a very man-orientated show, or at least it feels that way most weeks. You could at least get to 50-50 and everyone's going to be okay. But yes, Becky Lynch retains. Didn't see that coming, but it does make SummerSlam more interesting. I mean, it was so good going back to that point. You could do it again at SummerSlam, maybe with a different victor and a kind of different twist on it, and that would be more than fine if that's the kind of level they're going to dish out there. And it was kind of the same for everything through it. Like, Jordynne Grace versus JC Jane is probably not a match you'd ever go back to watch again, but we had a moment in the sense that Blake Monroe, surprise, surprise, hit Jordynne Grace with the NXT title, allowing JC Jane to just punch Jordan right in the face. I think she busted her open for the 1, 2, 3. The commentary was all over the place here. Sometimes you just got to call it like you see it. Like, it's nobody's fault. Well, I guess it is Michael Cole's fault, but he's going to have a bad time. Think how many shows he does and how many shows he's done over the last 25 years. You can't expect a perfect record. And I even saw the argument that a commentator should act like, well, why did she do it? It must have been a mistake. I don't think so. I think a commentator should just call it like we see it. Like, if I can watch it and go, Blake Monroe absolutely just smashed Jordynne Grace with that title, and now she's happy about it, and the announcers have to be all like, well, I don't understand what's going on. It makes me feel like I know more than the announcers, and that should never happen. This is a minor point. This is a nerd point. This is what we argue on internet about. We don't need to get into this, but it just made me laugh. I thought it was quite silly. Maybe it ties in because then later on in the Battle Royal, Michael Cole was calling Candice the Ray Candice Michelle. I don't think there's an excuse for that personally. Well, once there is, but he did it multiple times. They said, well, it is a women's pay-per-view. It's like, I would stop talking right now. Once again, though, faux pas happen. We're all human beings. There was no bad intent here. But again, solid match. I like the fact that JC Jane continues on with that title reign because people are like, oh, she's going to be a transitional champion. She's quite a veteran in NXT. We can extend it a little bit. And now we can do the Blake Monroe versus Jordynne Grace feud. And I think eventually it will end with Blake Monroe becoming the champion. And the former Mariah May, as we saw in AEW, is way better as a heel than she is a babyface. So this is good. This is nice. So again, you had something you could sort of sink your teeth into. Talked about Jade versus Naomi. Just super fun. Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus was awesome for two reasons. One, because it was just a really solid, good, fun match. And I think that was another benefit of this show because it does feel like a little bit of an outlier. It wasn't just 5 matches with the same video packages and the same structure. We actually had some fun with this card. This went, 10 minutes? It doesn't need to go more than 10 minutes. And actually, all companies across the world could benefit from that. We do not need to pigeonhole everything. And you can look at the matches you do have and kind of change it every month. That's totally fine. But also, Trish Stratus at 49 years old is just brilliant. What a terrific wrestler. This can't be her last match because she's given so much to wrestling. She needs the Goldberg treatment, the Sting treatment. She has to go out on her own terms. And this was the only time, well, maybe a couple other times too, Ria and Eio a little bit as well. If only we had been given this some time to build it and promote it and get some real heat in there, as opposed to just, well, I'm going to beat you, Tiffany Stratton. Well, I'm going to beat you, Trish, and I'm going to become the GOAT. But it was fine. Just didn't have enough time to cook, right? We need to put it in the cooker and allow it to build. Again, I'm getting all nerdy here, so you have to forgive me. But the match was good. And they stole each other's moves, which people like to do in wrestling all of the time. And Trish Stratus, I can't think she's ever done this before. And Michael Cole said it was an homage to Lita. Went for a flipping moonsault. Just scary a moonsault is. I think the problem is because we see moonsaults all the time, we've kind of negated it in terms of its danger, in terms of the complexity to pull it off. Anytime, if you've ever been in a ring, and I can tell you firsthand, as soon as you get on the top rope, you're like, holy crap, how does any wrestler do anything from up here? You do not understand how high it is until you climb. And your body fights you. It's like, nope, 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 don't do it. And it's hard to get your balance. So if I were to bust out a moonsault and then land right into Tiffany Stratton's knees in the worst possible way ever, destroy a tum-tum, then of course Tiffany Stratton kind of goes heelish. She's always a little bit of a heel. She just gets cheered. But she chick kicks Trish Stratus, steals her move, hits the PME 1, 2, 3, and they kind of shared a nice moment afterwards. I mean, Trish was never going to lose. But that ties back into the build. To really create jeopardy for a match, that's where you do it. And Tiffany just turned up and went, Trish, do you want to fight? She went, yeah, I'll fight. And then they had a bit of an argument with Wade Barrett 7 days later. But it was a good match, and it added to the pay-per-view. Added this four-way women's tag. In many ways, I don't want to say it was my favourite because the main event was my favourite, but the women's tag team belts, as we know, sort of the legacy in WWE has been pretty bad. Like, even after Raquel and Liv won them back after WrestleMania, they just didn't talk about it. I was like, man, we've had all this good stuff over the last 48 hours, and now they're just being thrown to the wayside again, which I don't get. But now, because Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez are together, and we're trying to establish that, same as Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss, which is fastly becoming one of the best ideas WWE's had this year. Sol Ruka and Zarya sort of work because if you're not an NXT fan, they felt fresh. And the Kabuki Warriors are awesome. Kairi Sane is great. Asuka, ever since she returned, is unbelievable. I mean, genuinely one of the best wrestlers ever. And while not all of this was perfect, I just liked all the stories we were telling. I like the fact people cared about the belts. That bit at the end when Charlotte saved Alexa Bliss, which of course ties into their budding relationship, was good too. And we did kind of protect Sol Ruka and Zarya here, because again, they had a clash, they had a miscommunication, they couldn't coexist, and one of them vanishes into the abyss. And also, we also had, what did Roxy do? Raquel grabbed, who did she grab? Alexa Bliss, just hurled her into everybody before she did finish off, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Sol Ruka who got the power bomb. But Raquel Rodriguez sort of was more of the monster in this match. It ties into this ridiculous conversation that Kevin Nash made on his podcast. But I think the advice got to Raquel Rodriguez, and she did look better for it, so you can't argue that. I just like all of the teams here. And while Sol Ruka and Zarya will go back to NXT, we could just do the triple threat at SummerSlam. And while it's a bit lame, I'd totally take it. And I'd actually give the pelts to the allies of convenience, who of course will soon be friends. So that t-shirt's going to be redundant. And then I would keep this up. Don't let them go after singles titles. They don't care about tournaments. They just want to be women's tag team champions. And if we can get a few more teams in there and increase the depth, it could be awesome. All of this is working. They all like they were having mega fun. And quite clearly the crowd was a different crowd from usual. Charlotte Flair was mega over. Everybody was mega over. But it was just nice. Charlotte got in there, big cheer. Alexa gets their big cheer. They are meant to be baby faces. I really enjoyed this. And it goes all the way back to when Liv and Raquel beat, it must have been Bianca Belair and Naomi, because Jay would have been taken out by that point. I really thought that was meant to be a jumping off area, and we never did it. But now we're back here again. This also happened in that three-way, whatever it was, in the Scotland pay-per-view. Clash of the Castle 2, it must have been. So there's been a lot of stop-starts. Let's not stop it again. And look, the Battle Royal was fine. Some of it was all over the place, but who cares? The Battle Royal, it's 20 people, whoever the flub it was, throwing bones. Not all of it's going to be perfect. Ultimately, it was the right winner. And having Lash Legend in at number 2, kind of, or the last step, the runner-up, I should say, probably suggests that she's going to be called up soon, and that's awesome. Lash Legend is great. She is a fine example of the NXT system. Because a couple of years ago, people were like, man, she's so green, she's rubbish, but okay, she's green. Rubbish is a bit unfair. You've got to give her some time to grow, which she has done, and now she'll absolutely be on the main roster, be totally fine, as long as we continue to protect her in the way that you have to, because it's a whole brand new environment, and you've got to do all of those things. But yeah, Stephanie Vaquer winning is the right thing. She will challenge a champion at Clash at Paris. No idea who that's going to be. Cut's just the best, most honest, wonderful, lovely promo afterwards, and she should probably become a world champion in the next 6 months, I would imagine. And there was stuff with Julia in here too. I mean, Zelina Vega did eliminate her. I don't think we should go back to that feud because it was a bit wishy-washy, but we'll see. But ultimately, like, it was fine. It didn't overstay its welcome, and it had a good finish. And Nikki Bella got taken out by Lash Legend, right? Which kind of feels like somewhat of an endorsement. If Nikki Bella is hanging around, maybe we're going to do something there. I mean, this is the problem when you fire people. We could have done a tag team match, but we can't because a certain someone isn't there anymore. But just a good show. I liked it. I thought it was really good. I thought it stood out, which was going to be extra hard this weekend. If you want to make the argument that WWE kind of, threw it out there to die, just to counter-programming some stuff, that would be fair. But quality is quality, and it just is so easy to watch, right? Because all of them went out there with a bee in their bonnet like, man, we are going to show them that you can't just treat us however you do want. to the point we probably should do another one and then just continue to raise the stock of the entire division. The only thing I would take less of, and this is the same with Saturday Night's Main Event and most WWE pay-per-views, I don't need to cut to people chatting halfway through. I don't get who that's for. That's like a post thing that we should do, or a pre-thing, or the press conference, or whatever. I mean, in terms of, what's the word I'm looking for? Continuity is not the right word. What is it? Momentum? Maybe it's momentum. It's just AW All In, even though it was way too long. We've talked about it. But they just go match, 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 match. I went to the bathroom between matches once and Hangman was already coming out. It's like, oh my gosh, I much do prefer that. You can have a little bit of chatting, but I don't need it every single time. This is a minor gripe. I don't even know what I'm talking about. There's no point. Just sort of comparing the shows as we do go. But there really wasn't a bad show this weekend. I've only seen about 50% of the NXT one. That really does feel like a lame duck. And again, it's not their fault. What the flub are we thinking, man? We shouldn't have done that. But All In is an absolute classic. Goldberg's retirement is brilliant. And then this one is just a really good show with two exceptional matches. The main event especially should be in everybody's match of the year conversation. If you put the IC triple threat in there too, I would totally get it. But Eio Sky versus Ria Ripley is... what's the word I'm looking for? It's special, man. That's a stupid thing to say, but there's certain magic to it as we use all the Disney terminology. But it's something that you should see, right? It comes along now. Don't worry about AEW. Don't worry about WWE. Don't worry about the three letters above the door. Worry about the fact that it is two top-tier professional wrestlers being able to show out. And the good thing is they both do have a story. They can both go on Raw and go, excuse me, Naomi, you dicked us right over. And then we can get right into that too. And maybe we even do it again. 5 stars. Awesome. Now, of course, please do leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about Evolution. Maybe you didn't like it, which is perfectly fine. Just be nice and respectful. It's really important. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Saturday Night's Main Event, what would you call it, review? It's on the screen right now. Otherwise, go to grillermind.com/Simon. Just go to Simon, get 10% off. These are fitness supplements that are good. Same with patreon.com/Simon316. They're not supplements, but you can join my watch-alongs for only $5. And there's some other stuff on there as well you can check out. Follow me at Simon316 on all social media. Simon Miller on Cameo for personalized videos. Simon J. Miller for TikTok for a bunch of nonsense. And Pro Wrestling Tees, a big cartel for board and other wrestling-type t-shirts. Now we rest. Until tomorrow for Monday Night Raw. There's a gauntlet now with LA Knight in it. I don't know why. There's lots of stories about Seth Rollins' injury too, but we shall discuss that in 24 hours. Otherwise, reset, my friends. We do go again. I love you. Goodbye.